Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Wednesday Wisdom. My name is JB Hilliard and these are weekly video snippets of information designed to answer questions you may have about the probate process or about estate planning or whatever other legal concerns you may have swirling around in your head. And for this week's Wednesday Wisdom video snippet, we are continuing in a series of what I've called What a Mess. And if you haven't seen the previous, I think we're on part 5 now. Yeah, we're on part 5 now. If you haven't seen the previous 4 videos, please go to my YouTube video library and check those out. But we have 3 main characters. Husband Hank, wife Wilma, and cousin Conley, who own this piece of property. And over the course of several years, these 3 have passed away, but no one had a will in place. And so we originally started this series with a hypothetical situation. What if all 3 passed away without having a will? And so the laws of intestacy kick in, because now we have to look at who the next of kin relatives are in that hierarchy of heirs and determine who ultimately owns this piece of property after all 3 of these original owners have passed away. So you're kind of caught up, but we did different scenarios. And so I thought it'd be interesting for this week to ask the question. We had the hypothetical or the hypo where Hank dies first. So what would happen to this property if after Hank dies, wife Wilma has had her period of grieving and she remarries? Now, husband, let's call him Howard. New husband Howard is in the picture. And now years later, Wilma, who didn't learn her lesson from first husband passing away without a will. Sorry, my eyelashes just gotten in my eye, and I could just stop the video, but you know, we're keeping this real. And now I'm distracted by the eyelash in my eye, so maybe I will cut. Hold tight. Okay, I'm back. I'm about 8 eyelashes less than what I had a minute ago, but I am back. Please forgive me for that slight interruption. So as we were, Wilma remarries Howard, but she didn't learn her lesson from first husband Hank passing away without a will, and lo and behold, she passes away without a will. So if you recall from the previous videos in this series of What a Mess, now we have Wilma's share. Well, let's back up. Let's start over and let me put my glasses on and look at my charts. Where we started was the original ownership share of 1/3 each between the husband, the wife, and the cousin, Hank, Wilma, and Conley. And if Hank passes away first, Hank has a child with Wilma, Hank Jr., and so Hank's share, his 1/3 share, is split between Hank Jr. and Wilma. So Hank Jr. gets 1/2 of 1/3, or in this case, he ends up having 0.166667 or 17% of his share from his dad. And then Wilma's share, where she gets 1/2 of Hank's 1/3 plus the 1/3 that she was already holding. So her share goes up to 50%, or her ownership share goes up to 50%. Now is where it gets interesting, because Wilma remarries Howard. So this is what it looks like after Wilma passes away. And I went ahead and threw in Conley as well, passing away. His share goes to Aunt Carrie, because that's not going to change. So we'll just combine those 2 in this step. But we are more concerned with that 50% that Wilma was holding after Hank passed away, husband Hank. And then Wilma remarries. So remember, and if you didn't see these previous episodes, feel free to look at those, because Wilma in our original hypo, Wilma has 2 children. Now she shares a child with Hank, husband Hank. That's Hank Jr. But Wilma also had a child from a previous marriage, Wilhelmina. So when Wilma dies without a will, her ownership interest is split between her surviving spouse and her children. Her surviving spouse in this case is Howard. And then Wilhelmina and Hank also share. So they split a third of Wilma's half. Okay? And then also remember that Hank Jr. is still holding his share from when his father passed away. So that brings Hank Jr.'s share up to 33%. Hank Jr. has a third of Wilma's 50%, or a third of a half, and then a half of a third. For those of you who prefer the fractions, Wilhelmina has 1/3 of Mother Wilma's 50% interest, so that brings her to 17%. And then second husband Howard gets a third of Wilma's 50% interest. So there is how we end up. Hank Jr. at 33%, Wilhelmina and Howard at 17%, and Carrie at 33%. So what this means is it becomes even more of a mess, because now Howard, this second husband of Wilma's, if he passes away, there's no guarantee that he's going to keep this property in this family. Now he's got his own family. He may have children from a previous relationship, or his next of kin is going to be someone else, because stepchildren, at least here in Georgia, stepchildren don't count as your next of kin heir at law. So unless there is a will in place, this is going to now start branching off into Howard's family members. And we're going to have to call it something other than what a mess, because it's going to be quadruple the mess it already is. So I say all that to say, get your wills done, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. We'll see if we add on to this hypo or if we start a new series. Until then, take care.